Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a DIY easy farmhouse looking no cook cinnamon dough. It's cinnamon salt dough, so you're going to use a half a cup of salt. Just regular table salt is all you need. A cup of flour. We make this with regular white all-purpose flour. And you're going to need a half a cup of cinnamon. This is just ground cinnamon, nothing special. You can get it at the Dollar Tree, Aldi's. You're also going to need 3/4 of a cup of warm water, give or take, depending on where you live. And we're going to need to seal it with some Mod Podge. If you don't want to use Mod Podge, you can use a spray acrylic. Now, I apologize. This is going to go so fast because I made a lot of ornaments. But not only is this is a very easy recipe, but of course it air dries because it's no cook, and it's going to air dry. I let it air dry for about 36 hours. What you're just going to do is really simple. Is you're going to put all your dry ingredients in a bowl. Like I said, that's a cup of flour, a half a cup of salt, a half a cup of cinnamon, and then you're going to use 3/4 of a cup of very warm water. I like to mix it around first just so I get even distribution of the salt and flour. And then you're going to add it. You don't have to add it a little bit at a time like me. I was just measuring down. And then when you combine it, just work it for a few minutes. It's going to seem kind of sticky, but then you're just going to go ahead and knead it. Now, I wanted to tell you guys know I have arthritis and I have limitations. This actually felt so good on my arthritis by the end. When I first started kneading it, I was just using the heel of my hand, but eventually my joints really started to work in, and it really felt like a great exercise. I have to tell you, I was kind of surprised at that. And then this dough comes together quite smoothly. You're going to see tomorrow we're going to make just a white salt dough, which actually was a little drier. But, you know, the different recipes, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. And now you're just going to roll it out. I didn't say you needed a rolling pin because honestly you could just take bunches of these and flatten them out with your fingers, but this is a great activity to do with the children. I'm putting it on wax paper. This is a very wet dough. I didn't necessarily need to put it on wax paper, but on my brown table, you guys couldn't see what I was doing. So I was like, I have wax paper here. But wax paper, putting it on wax paper also helps you maneuver it, move it when you want to dry it somewhere else, which was very helpful, I'll tell you. So now we're just cutting it out. I mean, I didn't say you needed cookie cutters because you could just cut this with a knife if you wanted to make really cute gift tag shapes. Basically cut rectangles out and then cut the corners off the top of the two sides of the rectangle. And then you also don't need a straw, but the best way to poke a hole if you're going to make these into ornaments or tags is with a straw. But you could also just use a toothpick and kind of like poke it in there and swirl it around, or a pen tip or any of those things, or you don't have to make them into ornaments at all. That's another total optional. Actually, there's also a third option. You don't have to poke a hole, but you can glue jute on the back or a string on the back, and that's what we're going to show you how to do with one of our ornaments. So I'm taking these reindeer, and the reindeer, actually the horns, the antlers were a little too small to actually poke the straw through, so I am using the toothpick technique. I'm just taking a toothpick, poking it in and swirling it around just big enough to get a piece of jute through, or a piece of string, or an ornament hook. Those are pretty narrow. And I made 2 of each. This set I got from Walmart on clearance 2 winters ago after Christmas. It comes with a sleigh and 4 different reindeer. I got it for like $1.25, I think, but I have a video about that a long time ago. I just thought they were so cute. I just wanted to hang the reindeer because reindeer are very farmhouse in general. Deer are very farmhouse in general. So these, I wanted to show you that what's the difference between a deer and a reindeer. In real life, a lot. In cookie cutters, not much. So I also have this cookie cutter set that has a small to large, 5 different cookie cutters, small to large. I have them in Christmas trees and gingerbread men. I got them at a kitchen supply warehouse. A kitchen supply store, excuse me, in Lake of the Ozarks at an outlet. And that was also after Christmas clearance. I got them for like $1.25 for this set. And they're metal coated. They're really nice. But what I did with those is I cut out like a big tree and then cut a little tree out of the middle of it. So it would actually be like a tree frame, if that's the best way to put it. Now, with these tree frames, once they dry, you could always glue a picture on the back and make it an actual frame. Just cut the picture a little smaller than, a little larger than the opening and a little smaller than the ornament. But what we're going to do is we're going to stack them. So what I did was I cut the tree frame, and then the little piece that I cut out of it, I poked a hole in, and I'll show you how we're going to stack them in a minute. But one of the inspirations for this frame was from Pinterest. They had cute little stars, and all they did was tie ribbons around them. So if you do end up making something like a frame, you don't have to worry about putting a hanger, because you can actually hang it on the, loop the ribbon through the tree hole. All right, and then I'm just taking one of those paper straws from the Dollar Tree, and I'm poking holes in wherever I can when I want to make ornaments. And I'm sorry, again, it's going super fast, but what I did with this one is I wanted to make like a rugged cross. So I used my cross cookie cutter, and then I kind of bent it a little bit manipulated it with my hands, and then I just took my toothpick and I laid it flat against to kind of create wood grain. And I know you'll see it when we go ahead and coat it. But just have fun with it. Again, this is great for the kids. This is the kind of dough that if you put your thumbprint in it, if you, take your kid's handprint and you put it in there, it'll stay because it air dries. This is great with kids, but the kids need to have patience for them to dry. So if you wanted to leave these just cinnamon dough, not painted or decorated, then this would be great for the kids, because they can come over one weekend, they can make it, and then come over the next weekend and they can see them finished, or 2 days later and see them finished. So what we're doing, this is the next day. I'm just turning them all over. Basically, they start to dry and they air dry. They start to dry. The wax paper does soak up some moisture, so I'm picking a new piece of wax paper to turn them over on. These would probably dry better on like a piece of cardboard or maybe some paper towel. But then that stuff will get moist, so you will have to change it out as well. So if you don't have wax paper, parchment paper, any of that stuff would work great. Okay, and then we're going to set them off for another 24 hours or 12 hours. I think it was 12 hours before I turned the first time, and then I left them for 24 hours at the end. And now I want to show you that you just coat them with Mod Podge. When they are first dry, they're really dull looking, and they're almost not even brown looking. They're very, very, very beige tan looking. I don't know. But once you coat them with the Mod Podge or the spray acrylic, that really brings their color back to life. So you can kind of see it here as I'm flipping it over from side to side. You can see how dull the one side is. I'll do a side-by-side comparison with the little churches as well later. These would be great gifts, I was going to say. I've made a few of these that I have here. I will show them to you on the tree decorated, but actually some of them are gifts, and I personalize them, and we'll show you how we do that in a minute. But this is just a regular paintbrush. You want to make sure you get the edges. So what I did first was I coated one side and all of the edges, then I let it dry, and then the Mod Podge, especially since it's such a porous dough, really did dry very quickly, and I was able to coat the other side in a matter of like minutes. So here's what they look like finished and unfinished. As you can see, they do come back to life with that great gingerbread looking color, which is really what I feel like it mimics. And it has such the most amazing smell. Really, and not until you coat it. It's a very cinnamony smell until you coat it, and then it's a light cinnamony smell, if that makes sense. So this was a cookie cutter that I have that says I love you in sign language. I loved it. This is one we didn't punch a hole in, and I'm going to show you to put a hanger on there if you want to still make it into an ornament. And then there's different ways to decorate them. So I did a couple of samples decorated before Mod Podge, and then I did a couple decorated afterwards. But this is just white acrylic paint. I've just made parentheses on both sides, and then used the paintbrush just to make leaves, to make a cute little laurel wreath, very farmhouse. And I'm just going to use the tip of the paintbrush. It's a very fine paintbrush that I got from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just using the very tip to write the word joy, very light. You can always go back over it and darken it if it's too light. But, it's harder to put paint on and then take it off. And then I've just taken a tree. This is also one that I didn't Mod Podge first. You take the back of the end of the paintbrush to make uniform dots. I don't know if you guys have ever done that before. So you just dip it in the paint and you get some uniform dots. And then I took one of the churches and I left it brown. And then I took the other one here and I'm painting almost the entire front. I'm just leaving a little bit of the cinnamon border, just to make it, like I said, more farmhousey, all the way around. And then this is going to do the steeple as well. And I just thought this was such cute. This kind of reminds me of my church, even though my church is, symmetrical. The door's in the middle of the building, but for some reason it always just reminds me of my church, that cookie cutter. I'm sorry, my church growing up. So now we're just taking all of the rest of them, the ones that we painted, the ones that we didn't. Like I said, very porous dough, does suck up the paint and not polyacrylic because we didn't spray it, but the Mod Podge very quickly, and they do dry very fast, which is one of the great things if you're doing this with kids. But we're going to go ahead and coat all of them. And like I said, we're putting the first coat and doing the sides on all of the ornaments. And then I realized I was just coating them and then putting them down. I didn't really organize my thoughts. And then I realized afterwards that I had recoated one side. So I started to organize them, is all I'm saying. Organize them, because when you start to put the second coat on, you're like, did I put the first coat on this? Did I put the second coat on this yet? And I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to show you a really slowed down version of the texture and how it looks and how it feels. And again, this is a matte, even though in the sample I showed you, I think I showed you the satin finish. I feel like this is the matte finish. Or maybe I have them backwards. I might have them backwards. This might be the satin finish of Mod Podge. But you can get Mod Podge at the Dollar Tree. I just haven't gotten any from there in a while. And I'm trying to use up what I had. So this is what I had on hand, was this big jar from $14.92. I really feel like I can't even tell you how long ago I bought it. All right. Now, one of the things you want to be mindful of when you're putting your Mod Podge or polyacrylic on is that after you coat them, take a toothpick or something and make sure, not only do you have to make sure that you put some in the hole as well as the edges, but take your toothpick and something and go ahead and make sure you clear the hole before it dries, because you don't want to clog your hole up with Mod Podge or polyacrylic when you're sealing it, because then you won't be able to get your jute or your string through there. All right, and we're just going to do one coat on each side. Now, I will tell you that I have 2 ornaments that I double layered. Basically, while they were just cut out, I laid them on top of each other, and they do take a little longer to dry. And worst case scenario is you can stack them on top of each other to punch your hole and then separate them, and then you can glue them when you're all done. But those 2 ornaments will take a little bit longer to dry. So what I did was I didn't fully coat them. I left an edge open, unsealed, so that it would release its moisture. And that's not necessary. You guys wait till they're dry before you polyacrylic them. I'm just telling you in case you see me skip one of the edges. You'll know what I'm doing. All right. And like I said, the reason that this video is going so fast is because we got a lot of ornaments out of this dough. One actually ornament that I didn't show you here, I'm going to show you with the regular salt dough, is I made a Bible page. I basically I have a book cookie cutter, and I cut what would be the book pages out of the white cookie cutter, and then I cut the book cover out of the cinnamon dough, and then I rolled the cinnamon dough after I cut it a little bit in both directions so it would be a little wider, and that was one of the double layer ornaments that I made as well. So you'll see that coming up tomorrow's video when we do salt dough and how I decorated it. But I've tried to work out all of the kinks for you guys because I hadn't made these since I was a child, and I honestly don't think I ever really made them. I feel like the teachers always made them, and we would just decorate them and roll them out and cut them out. But I know that when we decorated them when we were younger, they would come to us already finished. Like, one week we would make the dough and cut them out, and the next week we would come back and decorate them. But I wanted to do it as an adult to work out like the kinks for you. So one of the things that I found out was I decorated some of them with Sharpie. And after, even if you let the Sharpie dry for an hour or so and you come back with polyacrylic, or I'm sorry, the Mod Podge. I didn't use polyacrylic, but same thing might happen. When I went back with the Mod Podge, the Mod Podge actually caused it to bleed a little bit. So what I would recommend is to Mod Podge your items first if you're going to use Sharpie, and then write on them, because I did that as well. And then that didn't have any problems at all. Okay? All right. So like I said, by the time I was done coating the first one, by the time I was finished coating the first coat on the last one, the first one was ready for its first back coat, coat on the back side. And then I just was able to work it through. And I made sure I got all of them. Now, as far as the hangers, I didn't tell you in the beginning, you need jute, or you need ribbon, or you need a hook, because it's up to you. It's anything that you want to decorate them with or hang them with. It's entirely up to you and your style. So this is how they look. You can see by the comparison shot that they've all got, this is a matte finish, but it still does have a little bit of a sheen to it. And that's it. So now we'll do what we can do with them. I hope you guys got to see the rugged crust there in the middle of how it looks, but I'm just taking some, and I'm taking some Dollar Tree ribbon, and then some ribbon I got on clearance at Walmart, and mostly just jute, and I'm tying them all on for you. This is one of those double-decker trees. What I did was I tied some jute on a jingle bell through the hole of the small tree and then through the space in the big tree. And I'm writing on them with the washable chalk marker. I wanted to show you that once they're coated with the Mod Podge, they become almost like a dry erase board. I didn't use black. I should have tried a dry erase marker for you guys. But these are these washable chalk markers, bistro boards markers that they sell at Walmart as well as other places. But I wanted to show you that once you do write on there, you can wipe it off. But you can also make it more permanent. So this is a pen from the Dollar Tree that you use to write ornaments. It's not as bright white, but you can see that you can see it a little bit, and it actually makes like a nice pale writing as well. And I think it's supposed to be more permanent, but if you see here, I just did some swirlies, and but I don't know how permanent it is. Like I'd like to try to wipe it off next year and see if it stays. And then, I have some ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I thought white ribbon would be really nice with these, with the white paint. I do some jingle bells. Like these jingle bells are from the Dollar Tree. I have 2 sizes that I bought last year. They're the small and the medium. And then just different ways to decorate. I want to just show you different ideas. These round ones you can use to make, like, could be gift tags, because you can wipe them off after the season's over. What would be cuter, if I would have thought of it ahead of time, is I could have decorated the border and written the to and from in paint before I Mod Podged it, and this way they could have been just permanent tags. I mean, I didn't really want that, so that's why I didn't do it, but I would have been cute to show you that beforehand. So this got a little, my camera turned off. Somebody texted me and I never turned it back on, but I just took hot glue and glitter left over from the snowballs, and I put some garland on this tree, and then I tied a little tiny silver bow with some ribbon from Walmart, and I made that like it was the star, but I just glued it above the hole to make sure I could still use the hole to hang with jute. And then double-decker gingerbread man as well, like the trees. I just took the gingerbread man that I had cut out of the original gingerbread man, and I made that hang through it. Now this is the funnest one. I took some jute and I took 4 of the reindeer, and I basically reined them together. I made just like these little nooses. I tied a knot around the first one's neck. Then I made these little nooses, and I slipped the noose over each one of the reindeer's head so that they were connected. Each one is going to get their own individual hanger and hang on the tree individually, but they will be connected in a set. I thought that was super cute. I used to have lights that were like that, where the lights are all connected, but each one had their own little hanger. I mean, I still have them. I just don't put them on a tree this year, or didn't put them on last year. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. So once I have all 4 of them, and I only did 4 of them. I originally was like, should I do all 8 and do them like side by side? But I ended up just doing 4 of them. Because I think when the original thought of this cookie cutter set was that these would be each deer would represent a pair of deer because they're next to each other. And I just thought that was super cute. And like I told you if you watched the Walmart haul yesterday, I kind of updated you guys that I'm not going to show you these on the tree. I'm trying to make a bunch of decorations and I'll decorate the tree when they're all done. So that's it, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. It was so much fun. I feel like just, again, one of those crafts that you could do great with the kids, do great with disabilities, and it reminds you of being young. Plus, adds fresh cinnamon to your house without offending anybody's odoriferous sensitivities. Oops, sneak peek of the Bible. If you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share this video with friends and family. Anybody you know who might want to make this with their children. Surprise! It's a gift. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. And when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And guys, I am so enjoying doing these for you. Can't wait till you see the regular salt dough tomorrow, just for a white option. And yeah, I really appreciate all your patience and your kind support. And as always, you take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.